Welcome to Full Frontal Fatherhood. My name is Julian Radwood, and today I'd like to talk to you about why dads are so important. There's so much talk in the media about the importance of fathers, and so much research that has shown that if we are an engaged father, our children are much more likely to be happy in life, successful, have satisfying relationships, not end up in jail, not end up depressed. It's really clear that we are important. But why are we important? What is it that we provide to a child that is so important? This is helpful for us to know because if we know what it is that we should be doing, we can do it all the better. Before I get into it, I want to address the fact that oftentimes there isn't a father, or there's two moms or two dads. And I could have titled this video, Why It's So Important to Have Three People. Because really, it doesn't have to be a man that inhabits this role. But there is a real importance in it not just being mom and child. And if it is a single mom situation, there are things you can do to bring that third person in, and I'll talk about that a little later in the video. Mothers are wired to merge deeply with their babies. When the baby comes out, it really experiences a sense of oneness with the mother. It has no conception of being separate from the mother, and there's an amazing sense of their body and the mother's body being one. The mother, similarly, is wired to just really be there with that baby. And as I said, that profound bond is extremely helpful for the baby. They're learning the separation between self and other. They learn themselves in the reflection of how we respond to them. When the mom is just staring into the baby's eyes for hours and responding to the baby's cues, this is extremely helpful for the wiring of the brain and the creating of the personality. It's even encouraged that moms allow themselves to fall into that crazy bubble of merging with the baby. Deeply healing for both people. But there's another need that has to happen. There's a balancing force that needs to come in, and that is typically the father. When the father comes in, the baby learns that there isn't just mom and me. There isn't just that sense of oneness. There isn't just a sense of, I need to meet mom's needs and be connected to mom in order to get my needs met. There is a choice of being with the father. There's another place to go to get one's needs met. When two people, any two people, are just stuck in a bubble together, they become overly merged often. They start to try to take care of each other's needs and they lose their own sense of individuality. As a baby, just becoming a person, their need is to develop their sense of individuality. And having a third person, having the father be there and being able to connect and show the child another option shows the child that they don't have to just be with mom in order to be good in themselves. This teaches them individuality and choice and not a sense of pressure of having to take care of mom's needs in order to get their own needs met. The other value of a father or a third is that the child ideally gets to see that father and mother getting their needs met from each other. The baby is relieved to see that they don't need to provide for the mother. This isn't a conscious thought, but if you see a child that doesn't have that orientation and there's just a mom and a child without any type of third, it can end up being hard for that person to both feel as an individual and trust that they don't have to take care of the mother. But if they see the mother getting taken care of by somebody else, it is really relieving to their system so that they can take care of themselves. They can move in and out of connection with the mother, the father, and themselves as they desire. You see so many woundings in our world. People are scared of commitment, scared of being hurt in a relationship, of merging, fear of abandonment. So much of this comes from the improper separation from the mother and the father that is necessary early on. When the child can see the mother getting her needs met and see the father there as available for love, the child gets to develop and individuate in a very healthy way. The other thing that the father brings, and once again, this doesn't have to be a man, it could be a woman, it can be anybody, but the third person who provides authority, inhabits a king role. It's really helpful for a child to have a king and a queen. Two people that they idealize, and they think that the world is safe as a result of these people. These people are going to take care of them, and it's going to be okay. If we as men feel mixed about our position in authority, our position as a king, it can be hard for the child if we aren't able to inhabit that role. It used to be that us men had a lot of authority in society. We were seen as kings. There's been a lot of questioning of that as a result of the misuse of power that far too many men have done. And as a result, there's a lot of men that have mixed feelings about inhabiting that type of kingly role. But that's what the child needs. And not a dominating, mean king, right? But just a king that feels comfortable in himself, comfortable with his own sense of the world, and comfortable with his own sense of humility as well. As the child grows, they will come to see that the father has all types of weaknesses and flaws. And ideally, a true king is so comfortable with his flaws, his weaknesses, and not trying to just be narcissistic and be a big, tough king. That's not the kind of king we're talking about. But we are talking about somebody that can provide additional sense of security to the child, that the world is a safe place. And once again, that could be a woman, and the man could be the one that's far more merged and connected in an emotional level. It varies all over the place. Another way in which this is talked about within the field of psychology is that we all have a desire to return to the womb, to return to that state of perfection where everything is taken care of. We see that in the fantasy of merging with the mother or merging with women. There is a hope that if we can get so close, all the complication will go away. But the reality is that life is hard and has pains and weaknesses and vulnerabilities. And it is through the identification with the father that the man can teach the child that life has that difficulty. We show them that life isn't just about ease and comfort and being taken care of. It's also about having to hold ourselves, feel our own vulnerability, sit in that pain, and be okay, and find contentment within ourselves. Obviously, this could be a woman that can show this to the child, but there is some way in which the father often provides that role. There's a lot to be said about what to do when it's a single mom and the child, or a single dad and the child, and how to balance that situation out. One of the most important things to do is for the parent to be aware if they're getting their emotional needs met from the child. Of course, being a parent is deeply emotionally satisfying, but if we don't have another place that we can connect and get intimacy, there's a way in which we turn our children into our little partners, and that puts a lot of pressure on them. So first, really watch for that potential and see if you can bring in other people into the child's life so that they can realize that third, that potential for connecting with somebody else. An uncle, an aunt, somebody where they can feel that there's connection with mom or dad, and then there's also connection with this other person. That provides this sense of balance. Obviously, it's a lot harder to do when there isn't that typical arrangement of the mom and the dad in the family all together. But it is possible for all of us to show that child that they don't need to take care of mom and be merged with mom, or if it's a single dad, merged with father. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Full Frontal Fatherhood. I would love to hear your ideas about these thoughts. Please join the conversation below, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Full Frontal Fatherhood. Take care.